Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. So it's beautiful out today. It's around 70 degrees. I wanted to get the STI out, get some gas in it actually, since I haven't in a while, and just to enjoy the day with the STI since we're supposed to get some bad weather in the next few days. So I'll be driving the truck. But in this video, I wanted to go over and kind of expand upon the whole idea of the STI being kind of nixed and no longer being in the lineup. As we all know, I did a video on this about a week or so ago when they announced it, and I wanted to kind of go in more detail since I had some time to think about it, go over more opinions, and just kind of calm down a little bit and be able to go over all the feedback that I've been seeing and kind of just expand upon it and explain as to why I think the STI is leaving the lineup and kind of what the future holds for the STI. Now, it was a heartbreaker to all. It was something that we were not expecting. We were all expecting to see an FA 2.4 STI, since that is what STI or Subaru has been hinting at for many years now. We got the WRX, which is coming. You guys can start ordering, I believe. So we were all expecting a really nice STI variant with that same motor, but just kind of tuned up and different turbos and everything like that, and just, you know, kind of make it an STI. But unfortunately, like I said, they kind of removed the STI from the lineup. They say they were no longer doing them. It is not going to be happening in the new generation, and that is it. And they just basically did it on a Friday afternoon, and no press release, nothing like that. It was literally just a half a page to all the dealers and pretty much everybody saying that they are no longer making an STI in the new generation. So it was a huge disappointment, a huge heartbreak to the STI community, especially to those people that were actually waiting for the new generation to come out to pick up an STI. They were kind of in between of whether to get a current generation or wait for the new one. And I really feel bad for the people that decided to wait for the new generation and not got this chassis because they no longer make these. You cannot buy these new anymore. So now those people are kind of left in a limbo. They're not really sure what to do, so they're kind of scrambling. So I really do feel for those people that were waiting for the new generation. So kind of expanding upon a little bit more and going into a little bit more detail, one thing I wanted to mention is a lot of people were saying that Subaru is going to go under, that, you know, removing the STI from the lineup is going to crush them. You got to realize the STI, the WRX, the BRZ, they're performance-oriented vehicles. Those things, they can pretty much take those away completely and it not affect their finances whatsoever. If you look at the sales numbers, and pretty much from the past year, even the year before that, the STI, the WRX, all those cars, they're actually very, very minor in terms of how many units they sold. If you look at the Outback, the Forester, the Crosstrek, they're over 100,000 units for those cars. So them removing the STI variant in their lineup is not really, it's not going to hurt them financially whatsoever. So let's go back a few years actually and think about what happened to the Evo. We all know that that car is no longer produced, unfortunately. It was a great car, but what actually happened was the same thing that they were saying with the STI. They said they were going to no longer produce it, but in 2015 they were going to make a hybrid type of electrification type of Evo. So everybody was waiting for that, and then in 2014, the year before that they were actually going to produce them and start selling them to the public, they nixed the entire idea and the Evo was no more. And unfortunately, I feel like that is exactly what is going to happen to the STI. They're going to build everybody up, say they're going to do this and that, and then a year before, or, you know, even sooner than that, they're going to say it's no longer, we're not going to do it anymore. Honestly, the length of time between this generation to the possibly new STI is just going to be way too long. The WRX and STI generations are usually about 7 to 8 years, so we're looking at 2030. 2029 possibly, of when we would see a new STI variant. That is a long time, and by then there's going to be so many changes in terms of the EPA, in terms of the overall car industry. So I really don't know if the STI is going to hold in that place. Honestly, I feel like now is the time to kind of strike on the enthusiast aspect. I feel like there's more car enthusiasts than ever. More people are looking for these types of cars just because of what's happening to the world and everybody wanting to go to electric cars. So staying with an internal combustion motor, people are craving these cars. So it's coming out with something that we all want. The FA 2.4 STI variant, I think would do very, very well. Much better than I think the STI community or the Subaru community would ever think that it would do. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that as per Subaru. We're not getting anything. We're just getting the WRX. You know, and obviously it's not the best looking thing, as we all know. So it's still really sad. Now, A lot of people were saying that the debut of the WRX, since there was so much negative feedback from it, they were saying that that is the reason why they got rid of the STI. I can assure you that's not the reason whatsoever. They're going to do whatever it takes to keep the company profitable and do what's best for them. They're not just going to nick something because a few people were saying they hate the car. It doesn't matter what car it is, any new generation of car, people will hate it. People will always say that the old generation is better. What are they doing? It's terrible. And then people usually come around to it and love it and say it's the best one ever. So that's just kind of what it is with any new car. But I can assure you that is not the case. I will say one thing that I feel like the STI brand is going to kind of become is I feel like it's going to be a trim level. So if we look at BMW, if we look at Audi, BMW has the M line, the M trim, the Audis have the S line trim. So you can basically get a basic car with the special trim. You can get the S4 pieces, you can get the grille and a few little S components and options around the car to make it look a little bit nicer. You won't get the S type of motor or anything like that. Same thing with BMW, the 340M. All it is just aero. It's just little random things that they put on the car to make it look like an M and make people think it's an M, but we all know it's not. And I feel like that is exactly what is happening with the STI. I feel like in the future, they're going to move the STI trim level, quote unquote, to other cars. So the Outback, the Forester, the BRZ even. It's going to be like an STI trim level where there's going to be a lip kit, stuff like that, little things around the car that's going to make it an STI, quote unquote. And it's really unfortunate to see or to think that is possibly what can happen to the STI brand, because we all know the STI is a completely different car. It's not the same car as a WRX. It's a different motor, different suspension components, different transmission. It's an entirely different car, drives completely different, and anybody that has driven an STI and a WRX understands that. And if that's the case, and if that's what happens, that is truly disheartening and really upsetting, because honestly I feel like all this is happening way too fast. The EPA and everything is just cutting down on everything, especially with big brands like Cobb and all those tuning companies. Everybody's just removing products and stuff. It's just happening too fast. And I feel like we're just having a situation where companies are scrambling to do something, and it's unfortunately getting rid of some really cool products, cool cars, and us as a consumer are just kind of stuck scratching our heads saying like, what's next? What is going to happen? We really want these cars really badly, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to get them because they're not going to make them anymore. Honestly, I could be completely wrong. I really hope that I am. I hope they do make something in the future, a completely different car, or the STI brand kind of branches out into their own kind of car, in other words, an own brand, as opposed to being a Subaru Impreza WRX STI. That would be really cool. But honestly, I don't see that happening. And again, it's just a really sad thing to see right before our eyes. And I wish we got a little bit more explanation. A lot of people forget that Subaru is a company, is a business. It's not just people sitting there saying, nope, I don't want to do it, just because the WRX had some bad negative rap when it first came out and people saying certain things. That's not the case. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, a lot of stuff that us as consumers don't see, the finances and just kind of the nitty gritty that we don't understand or even get word about. Like I said, their company, their business, they got to do what they got to do to kind of comply with all the regulations. And as well as stay afloat, stay profitable, and do what's best for them. And for whatever reason, kind of removing the STI from their lineup, I guess it made the most sense to them. And it's unfortunate, as I mentioned, because the STI obviously is a car that I personally own for the past 5 years. It has been a car that I have wanted since I was a kid. I remember the first time I actually saw an STI and how bad it actually made me want one. I remember sitting in a parking lot, I think it was like a 7-Eleven or something. I was parked in my friend's car. And I was like 15, 16 or so, and a white Hawkeye STI pulled up with a gold BBS, and it parked right next to me, and I was just in complete amazement and complete awe. My jaw dropped. I was like, wow, that is a cool car. I would love to own one day. And ever since then, it was a car that I personally wanted to purchase. I wanted to own. I never thought I would be able to do it one day, but here we are 5 years into my ownership with this 2017. And it has been a great experience. And to think that the car that I dreamt about for so many years is going to be gone is really sad. And to think that it possibly will no longer be produced, even though Subaru said that there is some possibility of an STI variant in some other form of happening in the future. it's I don't know. It's sad to see, and I hope that I am wrong, and I hope everybody on the internet and everybody saying certain things is wrong as well. It'd be really cool of them if they had a surprise and saying like, hey, here you go, we actually do have something and it's the best STI in the world. But with Subaru, as we all know, they're not really known for doing stuff like that. And unfortunately, I think what they said in that letter is 100% true. But I just don't think the STI is ever going to be what this car is ever again, unfortunately. So that is all I got for this one, guys. I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit, go over some thoughts, because I know a lot of people were saying a lot of different things, a lot of feedback, a lot of comments about why and what they're doing and how silly they think Subaru is for doing it. And while I do agree with a lot of that, obviously there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. That they need to do as a company and as a business to remain profitable and still continue to produce and make cars for everybody. So we have some nice reliable vehicles in the future. You know, and I am excited for the electrification aspect of certain cars, of certain, you know, classes and everything like that. But I'm just not in agreement with them moving all that technology to their flagship, you know, race heritage vehicle. I just think it is not the smartest move. I said this in my last video. I think they should move it over to the, you know, commuter cars, the basic cars like the Crosstrek, the Outback, the Forester, that kind of stuff. I feel like is a better platform to kind of move that to. But who knows? They may come out with something that we all love. It may be the best STI we've ever had. So I hope they prove me wrong. But yeah, that's all I got for this one, guys. I just wanted to kind of voice my opinion a little bit more since I am still a little butthurt about it. And I'm sure you guys are too. I'm curious to hear what people think now that it kind of died down a little bit and people got time to think and cool off. I'm wondering if their opinions changed a little bit and kind of read up a little bit more as to what's going on. And have a little bit more understanding or, you know, opinions on what's happening with the STI brand. So thanks for watching. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.